Okay, profit maximizing, revenue maximizing. When you look at these different things, first off, think about why can a profit or why can a perfectly competitive firm never maximize profit? And I look to you over here, Satish, because you were talking specifically about the demand and marginal revenue and things of that nature, and that's exactly what it plays into. But why can a perfectly competitive firm never maximize profit? So get that in the coppers up here. Right? So Satish talked a lot about this down here, and these really relate to each other. But a profit maximizing firm and revenue maximizing, the reason why perfect competition never maximizes profit is because, I'll do this, perfect competition, I'll say never, because your marginal revenue is constant. Right? If that marginal revenue is constant, it never reaches a maximum. Because remember that your demand is the same thing as your MR. So we're going to be combining a couple of these different things here. In perfect competition, since you're a price taker, the price is perfectly elastic, and the MR is going to be the same exact thing as the price. What's that? And so the profit maximizing one, we do maximize profits. We're able to, but revenue maximizing in perfect competition, we never do.
Wait, what?
Like you said that.
Yeah, I thought I said that, but for revenue maximizing. So we'll clarify. For revenue maximizing, perfect competition never does that because the demand is always constant and the MR is always constant. So it never gets up to the high. It never goes. It's always 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. It never gets down to 0. So we maximize revenue when MR would be 0. That's when you maximize revenue. We can do that in imperfect competition. We'll talk about that in a handful of days. But we're going to focus here on profit maximizing. 96% of the next 3 weeks will be on profit maximizing. So I asked you to talk in your groups about where does that happen and why do you do it? And that's why I want to go back and revisit a couple very, very quickly. Where does it happen? Most of you probably said this. It happens where MR equals MC. Now the question is why is that the case? Is you can look at it 2 different ways. Well, one way you can look at it is if you were to increase your quantity beyond this, your marginal cost would be more than your marginal revenue. Thus, your overall profit would be going down because your cost would outweigh your revenue. If you produce less quantity than that optimal quantity, your marginal revenue would be more than your marginal cost, which would mean that you are able to, I'll say this, it means that you are missing out on profit. You're missing out on it. So that marginal cost and marginal revenue, most of you probably, you know it, and you may be able to say, here's what it is, but why is it? And that's where we struggle. So I come back again to say the reason is because if you increase beyond it, you lose profit. If you're before it, you miss out on profit. Here is the quick math behind it. At a quantity of, let's just say 5, if our marginal revenue is 10, and our marginal cost is 6, that means that we just added, we'll call this over here our total profit line. Let's say this is at 70 now. Right? And if I increase it, if I increase quantity, marginal revenue, right? Your marginal revenue is going to be, that's fine, we can do it this way. Let's say at 6, it's going to be 10 and 8. Well, we just added 2. Now we went to 72. And if we go to 7, if this stays at 10, our marginal cost now is at 10. Well, we didn't add anything, so we stayed at 72. But if I go to produce another one, and that's 12, now I lost 2. Now that goes down to 70. So why is it where marginal cost is marginal revenue? Because of these 2 reasons right here. That's why it is. So as we go forward, everything that we do, folks, if it's a monopoly or an oligopoly or those different things, you're going to maximize profits where MR equals MC. It doesn't matter what kind of market they are. This is where we maximize profits. Now the question is why would we produce 7 and not 6? The reason is because if you want to make your shareholders happy, what you would do is you want to make sure that you increase your revenue. Because you sold another one. Right? That's what it is. You sold another one, even though your profit didn't go up, your revenue did. Because you got $10 more in revenue. So you would always go with that second one, even though that they're the same, because you have more revenue. But this is the reason why, this is where the optimal quantity is at MRMC, and that's why we maximize profits there. Right, so that takes care of these two. We took care of this one. We took care of this one fairly well, and we really talked about that one also. Okay, with the price, the demand, and the marginal revenue, of figuring out where that information is. Now, as we go in, can you cut that?